Look, when I look back 45 years ago and I was a young 20 years old,
Yeah.
young, energetic guy that was willing to go chase something and
Yep.
willing to go, go, but it was slow starting because I had to do so much to get to the end.
Yeah.
Or if I could have just looked at it and said, look, I'm just the quarterback, going to take the snap and I'm going to hand it off to the running back. I that's a lot easier than throwing the 40-yard pass.
Yeah. Hey, welcome back to the Profit First REI podcast. Excited again to have Eddie Speed on, which he's been a recurring guest over the years, which I love because he's one of my dear friends in this space. He's also one of the people that I believe is one of the most authentic people in the real estate space because he still actively does real estate. He's the head of NoteSchool, but he's also done like over 50,000 notes in his lifetime. Eddie, how long have you been doing this again? Like, was it the 80s that you started?
Yeah, 1980 for about 45 years.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was going to say, I remember that from last time. I thought it was in the 80s. So
Yeah.
1980s when you started. So Eddie, I'm really excited to have you back on. We're really going to hit it from the aspect of like whether wherever you are on your real estate journey, Eddie can really just help you make sure you know what's going on and weather some storms and get in maybe in a different aspect that you haven't thought about before. And we're really going to help you from that perspective. So Eddie, thanks for being back on.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, well, let's dive into it, Eddie. Like, you are the note king. So when people see you, they obviously think of NoteSchool if you're out there. But for the people who might be listening for the first time, can you explain a little bit what is a note? Like, when you're a note investor, how is that different than if someone says they're a real estate investor?
Well, David, think about it. In your life and in most of the audience's life, you've been to the title company and you've signed mortgage documents, borrowing money against a piece of property, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yes, indeed.
And you
Just did that this
signed
last
a
year.
note,
Yep.
right? And you signed a deed of trust or a mortgage or whatever that looks like. So think in terms of what does the bank get and what do you get? You own the property, but the bank gets paid every month. They earn
Hmm.
interest. By the way, they get their money first every month, not last, right?
Right.
And
Yes.
so so I basically NoteSchool teaches people how to be the bank. You may create a note or you may buy a note from someone else, but basically you are the bank. You're receiving interest. And think about it. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of people chasing properties, but there's not so many banks chasing the note, right?
Right.
So it's not near as competitive. And in today's economy, it turns out in most cases, when you kind of run the math out, and we're not going to nerd out today on all that, but when you kind of run the math out, it's like in most cases today, being the bank is more profitable than being something else.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that's so true. And a lot of people get into real estate and they want to flip the houses, but you're really dealing with the paper then, like of the actual mortgage and the note and all that, which makes a lot of sense. So then, how, like here's another term that's really big out there that people have been using for a long time is notes. Are notes and note investing different than seller finance? Or is it,
It's the same.
or
It's
is
the
it the
same.
same thing?
Yeah. When you
Okay.
sell or finance a property, you would the whoever owes the money would sign a note. Right. That's
Yeah.
just the legal document that says you promise to pay back, what the interest rate is and how much the payment is and all that.
How about here's another term that's really popular out there, subject to. Is subject to different than
We ain't
note
going there.
investing?
We're not going
Okay.
there.
So you are not a fan of the subject to methodology and buying
I,
a property subject to the existing mortgage.
I think that it was a risk manageable transaction a few
Yeah.
years ago. I think that it is not so much today. And so that is not something that's never been my specialty, but it's, I could go through a long list of reasons why I think the risk of it today is in many cases, it's a risk that most people don't see. If you're me and you've been around mortgage banking and all that stuff, you
Yeah.
know that. But if you're just like hanging out with a bunch of real estate buddies and they're like, yeah, man, let's do it. Okay, well, it's kind of like a bunch of teenagers busting out on Friday night and can't ever imagine having a car wreck, right?
Right. Yeah. No kidding. Okay. So not the same thing as subject to. Then what
Yeah.
about the other term out there that's kind of different? It's on the creative side. Land contract. Is note investing the same as if someone hears land contract?
It is. There's more than one way to create the paperwork around a seller finance transaction, and one of those ways to do that is to do it where it's called a land contract.
Okay, cool. So I just like, because some of these people might have been searching online and like, okay, what are the different things? What can I do besides wholesale and flipping? And they get into that seller finance, or they see all these different terms. So
Yeah.
then you made an interesting observation where for the subject to side, it might have been easier a few years ago, and now it's not, or it's not as conducive. But what about note investing? Is note investing still conducive in this marketplace with higher interest rates or different things like that? I'd love your opinion on the market and note investing today.
Okay, so let me go back in history a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, can I do that? Because I think it'll be relevant to your question at the moment. Why is notes better today than other things? Okay. I started in this industry in 1980. Now, David, you're a history buff, so I know you know what was happening in 1980, although you may not have been alive.
I was not alive then. Nope, not
But
yet.
let me tell you something. If you were a young man, 20 years old like me, you entered into the market and real estate deals were crashing and burning all over the place,
Yeah.
right? Inflation and high interest rates. Huh. Does this sound familiar?
All right. Yes.
So understand that note strategy and note investing works when other things in real estate aren't working so well.
Huh.
So we tend to do better when other things, like when interest rates were 2%, then all of a sudden note investing wasn't as good. But now all of a sudden, as rates have gone up and now inflation and all that stuff, notes do better. And there's some myths about the business that say it's this or that and stuff. But I would say, David, I feel like you and I could circle up, say the top 50 people in the business, seasoned, pretty squared away, know the whole economic cycles. When I say we're in a note cycle, 100% of them, David, will nod their head. Eddie, you're exactly right. We're in the good side of the business right now in notes.
Why would you say it's better than flipping right now? Like,
Because
or
people
wholesaling?
flipping houses are having a hard time who they're going to flip to.
Yeah. Okay. So flipping, it's harder to sell, it's staying on market longer. The interest rates are hurting the potential buyers. Where with notes, why don't you have those same issues?
Well, once again, you're the bank. You have a loan, you're getting paid interest. You get paid first every month. You have a piece of property that backs your loan. So if God forbid, let me ask you a question about that. David, do you owe the same amount of money on your house as your mortgage, or is your mortgage less than what your house is worth?
It's less than what my house is worth.
And wouldn't you say that would be true for most people in the audience?
For most, yeah.
Okay, so I have a safety net if something goes wrong, but I know what I'm going to make every month.
So
It's written right into the note.
right. You know what you're going to make every month, and you have that safety net. Because what's the worst thing that could happen as a note investor?
Well, the worst thing that can happen to some degree is a good thing too.
Yeah.
The worst thing that could happen is they can't pay, and now they owe me less than what the property's worth. So I have a equity cushion. I have a cushion in the deal. And I'm never buying a note hoping they're going to stumble. Like, that is definitely not the case, right? I'm not buying hoping bad for somebody else.
For sure.
But occasionally that happens. And when it does, then that doesn't mean that, it's not oh my God, I'm going to lose sleep all night. It's not that moment.
Okay. All right. I have to pause the episode real quick. If you're a real estate investor who's tired of wondering where your money is going or why you're closing deals but still feeling broke, you need to talk to Simple CFO. Simple CFO is Profit First certified and fully endorsed by Mike Michalowicz, the creator of Profit First himself. Our team specializes in helping real estate investors finally get control of their cash flow so you keep more money, You pay yourself consistently and build a business that doesn't run on chaos. We'll help you implement the Profit First system the right way, set up the financial processes you've been missing, and give you a dedicated fractional CFO who actually understands investing and keeping track of your numbers on flips, wholesales, rentals, private lending, all of it. So if you want predictable profit instead of living deal to deal, head over to simplecfo.com and book your financial clarity call today. That's simplecfo.com. Stop living in confusion and start keeping the money you work so hard to earn. Now, back to the episode. So that's interesting. And you've pretty much been very focused, I believe, for the last 45 years on notes. That's so interesting to me as well, because you've been a note investor during ups, downs, sideways cycles, all the things. And you even said when it was 2%, it wasn't as good as it is now. So what's either helped you, or like, how did you maintain that focus this long on the notes and being a note investor?
The answer is that I haven't done exactly the same process or the same strategy exactly over the past 45 years. I've adjusted what my strategy was within note investing depending on the market.
Yeah.
I look at where we are in the market right now, David, and I've been doing this for 45 years. I've got some history, right?
Yes.
I think the next 5 years are the best next 5 years I will have ever seen in this industry. I really absolutely believe that.
Okay, what are the indicators for you that say this is why I believe that the next 5 years are going to be the best for notes?
Because I see people struggling with so many other forms of real estate.
Mm.
You know a bunch of happy landlords, David?
No, not a bunch. No, not
Okay.
really. Yeah.
You
Or
got any,
flippers.
you got any clients that say I'm crushing it flipping right now?
Right. And well, no, I literally, Eddie, today had a call with someone he's like, I thought these two were going to sell and they've been on the market, like extra long. He's like, I'm not sure what to do with them. So no, I mean, I think his is kind of a microcosm.
So here's what I'm going to relate it back to. Everything has a good moment. Every strategy that's legitimate, right, has a good moment. But no strategy is perfectly good for 20 years without making adjustments. Right? I was recently on a thread on Facebook. You probably saw it with, another group out there that does fractional CFO stuff. And they were saying, what happens when things don't work? And somebody says, well, I read that focus is the most important thing. There's a difference between focus and never being willing to change.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes you have to change, because let me just tell you something. You can't go wear summer shorts where you live in the wintertime every day.
Right. Very true.
Okay. So things change, and things sometimes change in my business where the sun really shines on us just right.
Yeah.
And we believe that's where we are right now.
Okay. So if I understand this correctly, your focus has been notes, but your strategy has changed depending on the market. So it's not like you didn't do notes and then you bought a speedboat rental company out there, and like you did 14 other things that had nothing to do with notes. It was more like, I'm focused on notes, but I need to be able to adapt to what the market is doing. And here's a question for the real estate community. Do you think that notes and focusing on notes, that you usually have more opportunities to do different strategies, where like flipping, I'm not sure. It's like you flip the house. Maybe you could go into a different exit strategy, but that's then a different exit strategy, like wholesaling or wholetailing or like something like that. Or you turn it into a rental. It's like those are all pretty much separate businesses. But like notes, if you do a note, but you can structure it differently, or you can, depending on the market and depending on the terms, it sounds like notes are very flexible. You can focus on notes, but you can adapt to the market. Would you say it's more flexible than other exit strategies then?
That's why I've been able to do it for 45 years.
Haha, there we go. Ding, ding, ding. Well, this is why I love this. This is why I love you, Eddie. Like, because you've done something and you've been so successful and you teach other people how to do it, but then you've proven it through all the different real estate cycles as well, too. This is not just someone saying, hey, I've been an investor since 2020 and like, look at all that I've done. And like, here's all that you can do in wholesaling and flipping. This is Eddie Speed saying, here's what 1980 until now. And like all I've been able to do with this one strategy of note investing, but all the different tactics and how I can pivot and how I can change it up inside of note investing, which I just think is very cool. And like, I wanted to focus on that because I like if we're not saying it enough, it needs to be said. Because I love,
we bought more than twice the amount of notes in the last 6 months of last year that we did in the first 6 months of last year.
Oh, wow.
But when I'm describing to you the adjustments that we've made and how we've looked at the market and where we think there's a big opportunity in this area, like we've become very laser focused on it. And you and I have just talked about this, right?
Yeah.
And so, and part of it was we had to really slow down and make some adjustments so that, we could teach the right thing. And when people needed help, we had the right resources to help our students go make the right decisions, right opportunities and stuff. And that's exactly what we did. And so when I'm saying that, listen, I know what it's like. Sometimes you listen to some guru or some promoter and it's great, and you listen to them 2 years later, it's great. Like you're thinking like, when's it ever bad?
Right. Yeah.
And the reality is you've never seen me with this level of enthusiasm.
That is true. Like you do seem like you've got a fire lit under you recently, and this has been pretty cool to watch. And I'm just thinking, you've seen it for these 45 years, and now it's like, okay, you think that the sun is going to shine the most here because of where the market's going and where things are. I don't know. There's so many ways I could take this. Is there for the note investing, who should get into note investing? Is it someone who's a real estate investor? Is it someone who has a W-2 job? Is there a different answer? Is it all of the above? Like, when would you say, because obviously if the sun is going to shine, this would be a great time to get into note investing. So who would you encourage to follow you down this trail?
Well, I mean, I started in the business with no real estate background and I didn't have any money. So I had to go do fee techniques. I had to learn to make fees on finding notes.
Yeah.
Now I've built a whole process and a machine where people can go earn fees and they don't have to be near as detailed and they don't have to go do all that for them because we built a lot of what we call done for you. We do a lot of that for them so they can then go send a note to us and then go chase the next note while we're working on closing the one they've got. Right. And that drastically changed the level of difficulty it took to enter the business.
No,
so you could just go in there. Yes, sir. And you could go in there to David today and just go in there like I did as a young man with not a bunch of money, but trainable.
Yeah.
And go follow a path. And I believe the market is wide open. Then you could say, well, I had rent houses. The math didn't turn out the way I thought. It was a lot of headaches. Like, what would note investing look like compared to that? Well, you're going to go like, oh my gosh, I have found it.
Yeah.
Because I believe that you can own 20 notes versus one rental. Just, the headache factor, right?
Yeah.
So it's easier to own notes. And then the other thing is I can earn more money with notes than I can on other real estate strategies today. And once again, like we've seen it kind of, let's just say at this age and, a whole bunch of transactions, we've kind of seen it all.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying owning rentals in the past was bad or flipping was bad. I'm not saying that they've never had their day, but I would say that the day for notes today and it being easier, more opportunity, big advantage as far as making more profit. I think all of those things today are check yes in the blank.
Well, there's definitely several things there that I want to pull out. First is, it sounds like that done for you is incredible because you've built a team that
Yeah.
now can not just help you close the notes where you go out and teach, but now it's like you teach them and you could say, okay, do you want us to do all that back end? Because, so they just have to find the note and then you go through and
Correct.
close it and get it to the end zone,
It's,
which is
you
pretty
know,
incredible.
look, when I look back 45 years ago and I was a young 20 years old,
Yeah.
young, energetic guy that was willing to go chase something and
Yep.
willing to go, go, but it was slow starting because I had to do so much to get to the end.
Yeah.
Where if I could have just looked at it and said, look, I'm just the quarterback, going to take the snap and I'm going to hand it off to the running back. I that's a lot easier than throwing the 40-yard pass.
Yeah. No kidding. So it really does sound like when I ask the question, who's this for? It could be like you said, it could be a landlord. It could be a real estate investor who's now wanting to get into this space, or it could be someone who's in the W-2 world who's like, I want to enter real estate, but I just want to be the quarterback, or I just want to do the one thing that they can be good at. And you get to focus on, honestly, like the business side of it. Like you've built a business around this and you handle a lot of the things that either people wouldn't think of, or they've got to fumble through it, and then it's like, oh shoot, I wish I would have known this, or I wish I would have known that. So sounds like you're taking a lot of that headache off of their plate, and so they can really transition into this and have a better starting point, kind of like what you said, what you wish you would have had at the beginning is what you
Well,
felt.
and I'll be honest with you, David. You've
Yeah.
known me for a long time. I haven't always had this.
No, you haven't,
But
which is so cool.
we really stopped and looked, and we really had a heart to heart with our team, and we
Yeah.
spent a lot of time and energy, and we said, what is it we could do to make more people successful at this business? And the answer is lend them our back office.
Yeah.
If we could
That's
lend
incredible.
our students our back office, they could go find deals that we may not find.
Yeah.
Right. And then we can go close deals that they may not close.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, if you're listening to this right now and you've listened to our past episodes, this has not been available. So it's like you're listening to this now. This is an incredible opportunity, because if you want to get into note investing, it's not just you're learning the theory or you have to go out there and, like learn it end to end. He's still going to teach you and you're still going to get all the knowledge, but then you could have that back office supporting you, which is awesome. So yeah, well, okay, I want to pause right here. How, if they're like, okay, just tell me, how do I get a hold of this then? Do you have a link or something that you would send them to in order to where they could get
I do.
started
I
with
wonder,
you?
like we consider this like, okay, how do we give you a get started path?
Yeah.
And people can be kind of advanced or a brand new guy, just like I described myself when I started in the business with no background. We're going to gauge that based on who you are in that process. But
Yeah.
they're going to just simply go to noteschool.com/profit first. And we're going to give them a very clear path. And we're going to talk about, and today I didn't get into a whole bunch of details, and I didn't get into a whole lot of, formulas and stuff like that. But we're going to start down the road where you can get the vision of, hey, this fits me. And you can be short or tall, skinny or not so skinny.
I love that. And I do. If you're listening to this and you follow me and you trust my experience, obviously Eddie's been a recurring guest on here, but not just that. It's what he's been able to build and how much you could trust him over the last 45 years, and just look at his track record. But now, like, this is why it's exciting to me. I know you're excited about notes for the next 5 years, Eddie, but like, I'm excited about what you've been able to offer now, because this is so cool, because you haven't been able to offer this in the past on the podcast. And if you want to, you can literally have Eddie's back end team that has helped him close over the 50,000 notes. Like, this is where you get that experience and you get the people that help. And this is where it doesn't matter where you are on that journey, you can jump in. And that's at noteschool.com/profit first, which I really love that link. It's like you're on the Profit First REI podcast. So noteschool.com/profit first. which now he's got the option just to be trained in notes, but like to be able to have that back end as well too. And the done for you, which is, I know I keep saying it's so cool, but I love that you have that option and availability for anyone who's in the real estate space. So Eddie, we've talked a lot about notes. We've talked a lot about what they are, what they aren't, who's it for, what are the other terminologies, all of that, which has been great. But do you have anything else that you want to impart before the last couple minutes here, to be able to give to the real estate investors listening?
All right, so let me lean back and give you some, maybe some wisdom based on experience. You cannot fight market timing. The market, being on the wrong end of the market, no matter how experienced you are, is not going to be kind to you. Doing the right thing at the perfect time is way better than doing the perfect thing but in bad timing.
I like that. So it's more about taking that action when the sun is shining than it is like waiting for it and getting all the ducks in a row. And then it's bad timing. And you're like, why can't, well, I did everything they told me, or I did everything that I could. And now it's like, oh, well, yeah, you can't. I really like that. So you cannot fight the market timing, and you can't always wait for the ducks to get in a row. And Eddie, I wonder, for all the people that have gone through NoteSchool, is it a lot of people that are more, I would say, I don't know if it's a split down the middle. Is it more like A-type action takers, or is there a lot of people that come in and they're the analyzers, they're the engineers, they're the numbers people? I don't know. Like who do you say that? Would you say it's pretty split? Because with what that statement, it's like
when you have a training business,
yeah,
when you have a football team, you have different players on the team, right?
That's for sure.
Right. When you have a training business, you have different people. Some people are sort of maverick,
yeah,
and they're just going to go do it. And what you have to do is slow them down and give them the right sequence to go do things, the right path to follow. And we're just in love. You got to say, look, you got to follow this path. You can go your own way, but if you do, you're fighting what we already know is a truth.
Yeah.
So we can be in the right tone. We can be, hey, follow the path. We've already kind of figured this out.
Yeah.
If you're a super analytical person, right? The problem is that you overanalyze and you don't take action. And so we try to do it in the right tone of pushing somebody forward to say, you don't have to know everything to go do something.
Right.
And we've been really good at like figuring out a way that they can see their way to the next hill instead of climbing the very top of the mountain. Just make it to that next hill, hit that milestone, and you're going to get a result from it. And then you can go from there to the next hill instead of saying all they can see is a mountain straight up.
I love that. And I love that you've been doing this for as long as you have it. And so to look out for those things in the people that are coming through. So that's very telling, which is awesome. I also think like with what you had just said, when you cannot fight the market timing, like the analytical people are fighting for, well, the perfect thing, and they might miss the market timing. Where the other side, if they're a maverick, it's more like they're doing the wrong thing at the perfect time, and that'll never work either. Like if you go out,
my buddy said that'll work, or the guru on Facebook said that'll work, and you're like, and ask some old dog like me, or ask somebody like you that runs numbers for real estate investors every day, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute,
wait a second, well, hold up there, partner. We gotta do the right things here and like make sure. And this is where Eddie's going to teach you the right things. He's going to make sure that you know not just the notes, but then if you need that help, honestly, Eddie, it sounds like you're holding their hand now, which is what a lot of people want in today's markets because of the up and down, because of the uncertainty, honestly, because of the options that people have. And like you said, notes is one section that you've been in, but there's so many different ways that you can split up that note and be able to execute that note. And it's like, okay, I want to make sure I'm doing this correctly and I don't have this deal blow up in my face or come back to bite me 10 years later or whatever. So I love all that you're doing. Remember, if you're listening to this, it's noteschool.com/profit first. So if you want to get started there, Eddie is someone that I trust, that I recommend, that I see at these events, have met him multiple times in person and just honestly got to know him a little bit more personally. And like, even his children. Like one of your daughters is like a professional. Is a ballerina? Is that? Yeah, I'm like, it's incredible. Like, if you just got to know Eddie Speed on the personal side too, it's absolutely. I love your wife. Like, just the whole experience of Eddie Speed. So I know I'm fangirling here, but it's like, go to noteschool.com/profit first. He's as genuine behind the scenes as he is on this podcast. Like, this is someone that's authentic, that will help you, that is not like any other guru out there. He's going to get you to the end zone. He cares about you. And now, I mean, good God, he's got a done for you system. So it's like there would be no excuse. It's like you sign up and boom, you're going to have something happen, and you're going to have Eddie there and his team to be able to help you. So that's noteschool.com/profit first. Eddie, this has been awesome. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and just giving us that taste of like what notes are. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And remember, if you are listening to this and you are like making money, but you feel broke, don't forget to reach out to us at simplecfo.com, because we want to help you keep more of what you're making, no matter the exit strategy that you're doing, because there's always a good system to make sure you get your cash in order and that you keep more of it. Thank you for listening. Remember to go to noteschool.com/profit first and make sure to hit Eddie up. And if you're going to any of these events, Eddie is very approachable too. So if you are going to some of these masterminds or events and you see Eddie, don't go up to him and say hi, and he will for sure talk to you and he'll help you go to that next step. Thank you for listening, and thanks for being and thank you, Eddie, again for being on. That's it for today's show. Be sure to subscribe, review, and share this episode. If you're serious about financial systems and keeping more of your profit, visit simplecfo.com to take your free discovery call today.